Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Wednesday edition of the UGASports Live Show with Jim Donnan. My name is Radi Nabulsi, and of course, Jim Donnan is our headliner, the former Georgia Bulldogs head coach. He is with us as always, and we greatly appreciate it. And we will get his thoughts on the Georgia Ohio State game, as well as get him to look ahead to Georgia taking on TCU. We're also joined by Dayne Young, who does stuff around here. We'll figure it out later. But we're glad Dayne's here because without him, we wouldn't have the show. So we appreciate Dayne stopping his busy work schedule to come and hang out with us. We also appreciate all of you joining us, and I have a special request for all the folks watching it. If you would, please share this with your friends. A lot of people may not realize that we were doing it on Wednesday because Kirby Smart had a press conference during our normal Tuesday time. So we need you to share it with our friends. And my Twitter account has been hacked. The UGA Sports account has also been hacked. So we're kind of screwed there. I can't get the word out until Elon Musk and the Twitter safety folks get our accounts back for us. Fun stuff there. Anyway, crazy game on New Year's Eve. Ohio State misses a field goal almost at the exact stroke of midnight. Just a storybook ending, maybe the greatest game I've seen. Just absolute nuts. And I thought the reaction montage that Dayne put together of all the folks who were filming that last kick was just fantastic. The Georgia fans, it felt very much like Keely Ringo's pick six last year, and the Dogs have quite the challenge ahead of them. But let's look backwards for a while, Coach. I want you to tell me what went through your mind on through that Ohio State game. I know we had 100,000 people watch the game with you and Dayne. Crazy numbers for us. It means a lot. But for the people that weren't in that 100,000, give us your thoughts on the Georgia Ohio State game.
The end of it, or what?
The whole thing.
Well, from starting backwards, the end of it was just incredible. Dayne and I were talking about during the timeout that how Georgia had worked so hard on getting a vertical push on that guy, and also that Mac Brown had told me that their kicker was actually the kicker for North Carolina back when his freshman year, and he missed two kicks in overtime versus North Carolina against Virginia Tech. And I think his name is Ruggles. Is that his name?
Yes, sir.
And Mac said his grandson called him Struggles. So I was nothing against
cold.
I was confident that we had a chance that he might miss it just based on that. But and just the fact that Champ Bailey was in the building, and in 1998, Virginia was kicking a field goal to beat us in the Peach Bowl, and they missed it there on the last kick. So we had some things going for us, but none of that really counts. It's just the fact that fantastic win, great fourth quarter by defense and offense, and it's just the reality that we've talked about. I hope that people have followed us all year, that Georgia has done as much as they can with what they have. I mean, realistically, the last 2 weeks have really kind of put the whammy on our pass defense. People have figured out that that's a real problem for us as long as they don't lose yardage and run the ball good enough where we can't get into a lot of pass rush techniques there, knowing the down and distance is second and long, third and long. So, but it is what it is. 857 yards later. In the last two games, we're still up there for the last round against TCU. And if you would have told me in August that we would be playing a team with a new coach, picked number 7 in the Big 8, Big 12 conference, with a bunch of transfers for the national championship, I think we would have formed a conga line around the Bud Smear building to play them. But at this point, though, they've really improved. They've got a tremendous quarterback, a great receiver, some pretty good defensive players. So it's going to be a very strong test for us, that's for sure. But we've played against better personnel over the last few years than this. But, as a team, they really play well together, got a tremendous punt returner. Just a lot of good things about their team, and they've been very resilient, winning 6 or 7 games at the end of the game. So it's going to be we can't play and just think that we can play and all of a sudden snap on the electricity like we did against Ohio State. This team is kind of a team of destiny, Cinderella team that's making all the right moves. So we're going to have to go out there and assert our will. But I like our chances.
Coach, tell me what you know about Sonny Dykes, his career, and then just schematically what TCU does based on his coaching.
Well, Sonny Dykes is a lifer. I mean, his dad, Spike Dykes, was actually the coach at Texas Tech and was a veteran high school coach there that did well and ended up being the head coach at Texas Tech, actually before Mike Leach. And so Sonny has coached at a lot of different places as assistant coach, Texas Tech under Mike Leach, but he was also at University of Kentucky when I was coaching at Georgia. He was actually a receivers coach up there with Hal Mummy. So he's got some prior history playing against Georgia. Then he became a head coach at Louisiana Tech, actually was the head coach before Derek Dooley got the job. And then he went out to Cal and had Jared Goff, had a really good offense out there, but just couldn't stop anybody and ended up losing his job. And then he picked up the SMU job. And really, he was right in the thick of things for the South Carolina job when Muschamp got hired, and it was between him and Coach Dykes. And so he got that SMU job. And then when Gary Patterson, who had been at TCU forever, probably 20-some years, got let go last year, they actually have a big statue of Gary Patterson outside the Horned Frog Stadium there. So he took over TCU, and the rest is history. I mean, he brought in some good transfers. He had some guys that only have 4 guys on their team that are on the original team that ever even been to a bowl game. And I'm sure some of the transfers had, but I like Sonny. I got to see him out there at the Hall of Fame. He's just a ball coach and a very genuine guy. You can see his approach on TV. He's very candid and very, personable. So I think he presents a real challenge to us because he's got some good coaches. Lincoln Riley's brother is the offensive coordinator. Runs a lot of the same stuff that Oklahoma ran against us in the Rose Bowl in 2017. He brought the defensive coach over from Tulsa, who runs a lot of the 3-3-5 scheme, which we saw from Coach Odom at Arkansas last year, bringing people off the edge, a lot of different ways that they do that. So different style of attack than we normally play. It's mostly all air raid and the 3-3-5. So that's pretty much what I know about Sonny.
So it sounds like the Mississippi State game is going to prepare Georgia pretty well.
It will. They don't do it quite the similar defense to it looks on the perimeter like theirs, but it's a lot more like Mississippi State will go 4 down and pressure you from different areas, but a lot more Arkansas Odom type stuff that this guy. He was a high school coach in Texas for a long time, very long time, like 8 or 9 years. And then he got the Tulsa defensive coordinator job when the guy from Baylor got the job about 7 years ago. And so he was subsequently hired by Coach Dykes there. TCU forever ran the 4-2-5, which we don't really see that much, 2 linebackers and 5 defensive backs, but now they're 3-3-5.
I was watching the 3-3-5, and I thought Michigan has the best offensive line in the nation.
I'm going to take this call and get my doctor's appointment.
So I'm watching 3-3-5, and I'm thinking, here comes Michigan, supposedly, the Joe Moore award-winning offensive line, the best offensive line in the nation. That's the second year in a row Georgia has wound up runner-up in that category. And they have, Donovan Edwards, great running back, power smash-mouth football team against this 3-3-5. They're just going to run it right down TCU's throat. I guess everyone thought the same thing. But I want to point out they basically have 3 safeties out there. And a couple of those safeties, they'll be lined up over the slot. They'll be You never know which of those three linebackers is going to rush. And every time that Michigan, and they broke off some big plays, don't get me wrong, but you're not going to be able to overpower them. You can't just go, we're Georgia, we've got this. We've got the 4 stars and the 5 stars. Kendall Milton's just going to run all over them. Kenny McIntosh is going to run all over them. That is a complicated defense. It's tough to make the coverage calls. It's tough to the designations as to who's what. It's going to be a lot of trickery for Georgia's offensive line and its quarterback. And you're on the flip side, you're not going to be able to confuse, Max Duggan. Kirby Smart says as much yesterday. He said, look, this kid is he's seen a ton of football. He wasn't the starter. Where have we heard that before when the season started, and some upstarts. There's some very similar storylines to what Georgia was doing last year. So when you look at that 3-3-5, you think, well, Georgia should carve that up. No, and they do a great job bracketing. You never know exactly who they're going to bracket, so they can bracket your tight end. They can bracket A.D. Mitchell. It's going to be a tricky thing to score a ton of points. Hopefully Georgia does, but don't just assume that because it's the 3-3-5 you can run them over. And it's not exactly that amoeba defense that we've seen in the past, but they confuse the heck out of offensive line. So that should be really interesting.
And even in terms of Georgia's defense against TCU's offense, what did we say leading up to the Ohio State game, Roddy? How do you attack C.J. Stroud? You have to pressure him.
Yeah.
Get him out of the pocket because he's such an accurate thrower. It's almost, to me, the exact opposite strategy with Duggan, because when I've seen Duggan be really, really good, he's moving, he has people in his face, he's making something out of nothing. That's happened twice against Michigan, where he's just kind of throwing a sidearm ball to avoid a sack because he's extended a play, and then it's one-on-one for that receiver downfield, missed tackle, boom, big play. And I think it happened twice for touchdowns. And if you account for those and the 2 pick sixes that they got, I mean, you get close to 30 points just for plays like that. So to me, this is a real quick turnaround to Georgia just spent all that time. How do we find a way to get pressure on C.J. Stroud? And then now you have to flip around, and you probably want to keep Max Duggan in the pocket and say if he picks us apart, we're okay with that.
Yeah, when he takes off and runs, bad things happen. It's similar with Stetson Bennett. He's a very strong runner. He doesn't slide a whole lot. He wants to will his team to a victory. He's got the heart of a champion, and he's going to be a tough out. There's no two ways about it. And you got to worry about Georgia's edge protection. Not having Nolan Smith is showing. It's showed the last few weeks. That's an issue. I'm not taking a shot at Chaz Chambliss, who's been banged up, or Robert Beal, or any of the other guys who can play the outside. But there is a drop off from not having Nolan Smith up there. Just like Coach pointed out a few weeks ago when you lost Adam Anderson. That's a big loss. So you can't just assume they'll go out there. But here's the other thing. I don't think that you had 2 pick sixes, right? And then they drive the field and then fumble on the 1 yard line, which maybe that play should have been a touchdown. The guy scoots in, but I don't know that TCU wins that game without all the breaks going their way. Can they have 2 games of all the breaks going their way? If it is, then you're just damned. I'm sorry, you just out of luck.
They certainly had a lot of breaks in that game. But the one thing that everybody needs to know, we're playing against Tim Tebow. This is the kind of quarterback this guy is. He's going to be hard to get down, number one, and number two, if you do rush him and try to contain him, some of his best runs are right up the middle where he sees man under and he breaks tackles. And the first time I saw him this year, he playing against Oklahoma, and at that time Oklahoma looked like they were going to be a decent team. But he broke a 75-yard run on Oklahoma, and it looked like Oklahoma was playing Little League football the way they were chasing after him. So he's got pretty good speed to go with his size, and he's got elite toughness, a very good arm that can throw the ball deep. Scouting report on the receiver, Quentin Johnson, is a big, tall guy that's got really big-time speed but doesn't run the precise routes that maybe we saw from Marvin Harrison Jr. or he's more of just a physical go up and get the ball type guy. And the running back Miller is hurt, missed most of the game, but the guy, the JUCO kid, came in and got 100-some yards. But the thing that this team can do is make explosive plays, and they do a really good job of understanding who they are and utilizing their play sheet and getting the ball to their best players. Defensively, give up a lot of points, take some chances, but the thing about it is, can we steal one more game? Can we just go out there and, like we have this whole season, we've earned this season. There's no question about it, but we've been exposed some too. Finally, there's definitely. I think Brent Rollins did a really good job of breaking down the throws from Stroud the other night. And everybody gets on Keely Ringo, but he did have 7 passes where he defended the guy. Stroud was 6 out of 13 versus him, 17 out of 18 against the rest of our defense. And he had a couple overthrows and one tip pass. But, our pass defense outside of Ringo is not that great. And Ringo is not doing that much, but we don't have the cover guys that you've seen under Kirby Smart. I mean, Javon Bullard did a tremendous job tackling, playing the ball after it was hit, but he's not a cover guy. Lassiter is improving. Both our safeties are good in zone, but covering man, you saw what happened when Starks got caught up with the number 18 Harrison. So I would just say this, as negative as that sounds, if you're going against NFL caliber receivers and an NFL caliber quarterback, and they know what they're doing, and you play as good as you can, if you don't affect him, he's going to complete a lot of those passes because that's what he is. I mean, that's what the guy is. Plus, he had an out-of-body experience running with the ball in the fourth quarter. I mean, we had no idea he could do that. I guess he said, balls to the wall. Hey, the game's on the line. I'm going to just do what I can, will our team into it. And he almost did it with those scrambles he got in the fourth quarter. So, but if you look back to the Oklahoma game, 2017, we didn't stop them at all in the first half. Second half, we started playing a little better, but we pressured Mayfield. We came after him, and we kept the ball away from him. To me, that's our best MO for our team, is for our offense to keep the ball away, limit the amount of snaps that the defense has to defend, where they're just not out there all the time. And that's a good formula for success. But mark my word, we're going to have a good plan if we punt. Either we're going to have to kick it end over end short, like you put the ball down and kick it up high and just try to take 35, 40 yards net, or we're going to have to cover our ass off because this guy scares you. I mean, I'm telling you right now, he can burn you pretty quickly. So that's a real advantage for him.
You're talking about having a good game plan. I want to mention our friends at Athens Ford for having a good game plan when you need to go purchase a new vehicle. They take all the worry out of it. They take all the hassle out of it, and they have multiple approaches. You can go out to the lot, see that they have 380 vehicles. I remember last week we said they had 470, so that gives you an idea of how many they move through in a week. They sell a lot of cars out there. We also, if you say, look, it's raining, it's miserable out there, I don't want to go outside into this. Like my office is freezing because we got to turn the heat on in here. So I have to put on a big parka type thing to stay warm. You just want to shop from the comfort of your own house. You can actually go onto their site, look at all the cars. They have 20, 30 pictures for each one. And you can actually reach out to a salesperson out there and say, look, can you walk out to that Ford F-150 and let's do a Zoom call? Let's do a Skype or something like that. Let's do FaceTime, and you just walk through it. Hey, open the glove box. Let me look in there. Open the hood. Let me look in there. And they'll do it. Timmy and those folks out there will be more than happy to show you around that way. It's just a great place to, get a car because you have so many different options. One of my favorites is actually go in and order your car. Say, look, I want the Ford Mustang. I want this color interior, this trim package, this motor, whatever you want on it. And basically it'll be built and delivered to you. So if you're trying to come up with different ways to approach this, a different scheme for success, their friends at Athens Ford have you covered. Also, it's Tuesday afternoon. You're trying to come up with what are you going to do for this coming Saturday's NFL games or Sunday's games or Monday's national championship game. Hit up our friends over at Your Pie. They're fantastic. Excuse me. They are fantastic people, and I can tell you right now, the Drew and Natalie French are sideways because they're so excited about this actual championship game. They're huge Georgia fans, and they have a great program set up on your app. You can go into on your phone. You can go into the YourPie app, order your stuff for delivery or pickup for this Saturday, Sunday, or Monday. If you do it today, you get the double points, which is pretty fantastic because you get points for every dollar you spend at YourPie. Those points add up incredibly quickly for free breadsticks, free pizzas, free gelato, free ice cream, free brownies. That's all I was thinking of. The brownies are phenomenal. I can tell you I'm fat because of them. But hit up our friends at YourPie. You can do it today on Double Points Tuesday. You can order your stuff for later in the week. Or if you just want to say, look, it's nasty outside, I'd like something warm and hot to be delivered. It's the best pizza you will ever have. I guarantee it. So
I had two more things from Georgia Ohio State that I just wanted to mention. One, I understand everyone kind of having the reaction to saying this is similar to the 2017 Rose Bowl and what that game was, just because it was a playoff.
Yeah.
But actually, because of just how the game went, I thought the 2017 Rose Bowl that was two offenses, especially second half, that were just playing really, really well. I thought that was excellence from two teams. I thought there were a lot of mistakes from both sides with Georgia and Ohio State. And yeah, teams cause that too. I just didn't think it was as clean of a game. It reminded me a bit more of how the 2012 SEC championship game went down, to where really whoever had the ball last with the right amount of time on the clock was probably going to win that game. And that was the case with Georgia, Alabama in 2012, which.
Oh, that's a very fair comparison, Coach. When I'm looking at it,
it's hard to make comparisons, though. I mean, because you got different styles, different rules, all that. But you can bring out all those things. But bottom line, when the band was playing, fourth quarter, Georgia was playing the trombone and they were playing the fiddle.
The other thing that I wanted to point out, that there's, to me, an unsung hero in this game, and I'm going to give him his flowers, because there's two plays that if Ladd McConkey doesn't make, that Georgia doesn't win this game. One is the Stetson kind of poor decision pass lateral deal. He has to get back on that ball, and he has to do it quickly, and he did his job there. Because if that possession changes, Ohio State wins the game. But also, look at the margin of victory. That 2-point conversion was incredible. And he's playing hurt, too. That guy's gutting this out.
Yeah, I mean, that was a smart play by us going for two there. That's a really good job of knowing what's happening in the game conditions and thinking ahead what you got to do. Just a poor play there when you look at it, you run a little swing pass. I never like to do that, throw the ball backwards on the goal line. I'd like to go north and south. I'm sure Monken had a chance to do it over. He'd probably call something different. It was 2nd and 4, I think. But the other thing that's important to understand is people ask me about a running back rotation. And, Kenny Mack and Milton had the ball 8 times and Edwards had it 8 as far as the runs. But both Kenny Mack and Milton are heavily involved in special teams. And a lot of times, you've just made a big run covering a kickoff or covering a punt or blocking for a punt return or whatever it might be. So sometimes the way the rotation gets up, you don't get in there. But we got to be careful. We got so many good players now. We just got to make sure that the good players are in there when you got to make the plays. Edwards certainly a good player, got some good yardage, but he's not the receiver. We threw him 2 passes the other night. He caught one and he missed the other. But so I think utilization of personnel is going to be important in this game, and particularly how much 12 personnel, how much 2 tights are we going to use if Washington can't play. Certainly Delp is he's done well in his playing, but are we better off having another receiver in there instead of him? It just depends on whether you're running the ball a lot or passing, but he's definitely not a freshman anymore. He's had all the spring practice. He's had all the fall practice, and he's got some good reps, and he's a very viable guy that a lot of teams would like to have him, but he's not Darnell Washington. Nobody is.
And with receivers, look at who Georgia's trusting right now in some of these critical moments where you need to get a first down. Yes, it's the stars in there. It's getting A.D. Mitchell back, but Don Blaylock.
Yeah, Don Blaylock. Kyrus Jackson was huge. I thought Kira says that the.
I mean, that's NFL throw hitting him on that ball down the middle against 2-man. I mean, both teams hit the play almost identically against each other at the end of the first half when it looked like we had already gone in for halftime and they went down this field and scored in 47 seconds. They hit the fullback down the gash against 2-man, and we didn't have anybody. It might have been Tampa too. I'm not sure, but the linebacker didn't run underneath him, and the back turned his head and caught it and split the 2 safeties. And then we hit the same thing to Kieras. But, if you're Ohio State, you're looking at it like this, kind of like what USC the other day against Tulane. USC up 15 points with 3.5 minutes to go. They play cover 0, man coverage, and the guy hits a 76-yard touchdown pass. Ohio State's up 14. They play man coverage on Arian Smith. The guy falls down, and we hit a 75-yard touchdown. You just don't do that when you got that kind of lead. I mean, that's poor coaching.
USC also had a kickoff bounce off the guy's hands at the 1-yard line that just wrecked them. You can't do that in special teams in these games.
Yeah, I mean, as happy as Georgia fans were that we won the game, Oklahoma fans were just as happy that USC lost because they got a real mean on for Lincoln Riley. I mean, a real bad mean on. I mean, I got more texts from people sending me the Tulane green wave from Oklahoma. They were just so happy. I mean, it's bad. I mean, the guy left them, that's for sure, but forget about it. But they can't. I mean, they were ecstatic that Lincoln lost that game.
I'm still getting texts about Ohio State or from Ohio State people. Or, I won't say direct messages because I don't have my Twitter handle.
What I mean, are they were robbed or what?
They were absolutely robbed. They never called holding on Georgia when Georgia's obviously holding. And Javon Bullard is a headhunter who purposely knocked out Marvin Harrison. And
clean hit.
He called that timeout. And then the Brock Bowers 4th down conversion. His body was out. I mean, they're hot. I mean, they are hot.
Yeah. Our guy wasn't offside either. So, hey, there's nothing you can do about it. Hey, I'm still living with Jasper Sanks didn't fumble. So, I mean, come on.
While I have both of you here, because I was watching the game from a very nice spot.
Where were you watching it, Roddy?
Just a nice spot. I got shout out to the folks at Equity Prime Management for letting me, Equity Prime Mortgage for letting me sit in their box. It's very nice. Coach, they didn't show a whole lot of replays in the stadium of the hit, Javon Bullard hitting Marvin Harrison. And Georgia's going to get a reputation because, they've been able to knock out some pretty good players. So if you hate the team or you want an excuse, you can just say that Georgia's playing dirt or something like that. But I'm watching it. It looked to me like Javon Bullard led with his shoulder and hit the guy pretty hard. And
he did. That's one thing about our team.
What did you guys see?
If you just look at the MO or you look at the history of our team, we've had very few targeting penalties since the rule came into effect. And it's because of the way they're coached. I mean, we've had a few on special teams once in a while, but I'm just telling you, that was a great play by Bullard in the end zone, a tremendous play.
Yeah, I thought that was big. I want to go back to that. You mentioned the bad coaching that we saw in that USC game. I think Kirby Smart gained a lot of coaching credit for calling timeout before the fake punt. A lot of people basically say that he just out recruits everybody. That's how they were able to lose 13 players to the portal, 15 to the NFL, and he'd just come back. And I know that Sonny Dykes will probably win Coach of the Year. Well deserved. First year, get them playing for a title. First title they played for since 1938. But I would make the case that Kirby Smart's the Coach of the Year, and not just because I cover him.
Dayne hit it right there, and that's the timeout of the year. It was awesome. The thing about it is you don't know if somebody upstairs said, hey, he's got hookups to the special teams guys, and you got the clicker that you go, once you go off defense, you click the special teams, and you go to offense because you're regulating the game as the head coach. Hey, go for it, or hey, we need to run the ball, or hey, we probably need to just run a safe return, or whatever it might be. So either he had that kind of inclination from looking at it, or somebody told him, but it was a brilliant move. And the one thing that I would say about Kirby preparation wise is he meets consistently with all phases of our team. Like special teams, tremendous emphasis with the way they plan, the intricacies of how they're going to attack different people. And he makes sure that his input's there before he even put the game plan together, because he's got an idea of what he's going to do. And I'm sure most coaches do that. I did. Everybody did. But as I've said several times, he's one of the few guys that I've ever been around that could coach every position. I mean, he knows the techniques and fundamentals of all the 22 guys out there, plus the specialist. So he learned a lot as his dad was a coach and all that. I feel like I know pretty much a lot about defensive play and defensive technique, but not the extent that he does. Or I know a lot more maybe on offense, but he knows a lot more offense than I did defense. So, I mean, I'm not in his area code when knowing all about the different. But I really think this is true. You need to, if you're going to have a position as a player, you need to know your technique and you need to know your assignment. A confused player is going to get his butt beat. So if you know what to do and how to use the best technique available, you got a chance against anybody. But if you go against a guy like Marvin Harrison, who knows his technique and knows his assignment, the best athlete's usually going to win. So we do a great job of fundamentals and teaching here. There's no question about it. Some of the development, you look at a guy like Everett and Malachi Starks, the way they've improved since last January to right now, unreal how much they've taken to the coaching they get.
Well, look, I mean, you took Javon Bullard, a guy that's obviously undersized, and you've made him into an absolute weapon, in that star spot. He's just been lights out. Coach, I want to mention a couple guys that
Against the run.
Against the run. Let's have that caveat in there. A lot of people are asking questions about who will be available for this game, and Dayne touched on the fact that Ladd McConkey was kind of
all the old maids. They'll be available.
Exactly. If you go to UGASports.com and click at the very top of the board, Brent Rollins has some deeper notes. And I just thought this bodes well for Georgia facing TCU. Arian Smith had a career-high 17 snaps. He also had the best game of his career. He stepped up when you needed him the most. And a lot of people were wondering about A.D. Mitchell. He played 49 snaps in that game. The most he's ever played in the game is 50. A.D. Mitchell, again, catches the winning touchdown. That's huge. And Jalen Carter, who's admitted that he was not in his best shape going into this week, played a career-high 52 snaps. Now, he was held on 51 of those, but I think that's pretty big. So,
this though, really, if you look, we only ran 60 snaps, and how many yards do we have? I mean, we had 60 snaps.
That was a low. That was as low. The last time you had 62 offensive snaps was when you played Georgia Tech. So very few snaps, and that third quarter was abysmal. But if you can get a healthy Ladd McConkey, and think about this, Amarius Mims, best game of his life.
Yeah, he had to play good. I don't know that he played as good as maybe they got the grade for him, but he needs to strain a little more. But he really is a good player and a good attitude, and he's going to be a great player next year. And all this, I think you might have mentioned it on one of those reports that he's a lot like Broderick last year, coming to the front here at the end of the year and doing what he needs to do, and gives us, really an extra guy if McClendon can play. But the thing about Arian Smith, the first time in any game that he's ever played at Georgia, he caught more than one pass. He caught 3 the other day, and
right.
It's incredible.
I'd have him on that go route once a quarter at least.
Doesn't even
what's the series, man?
Doesn't even run the jet sweep or do anything. We just got different things that we used. We use different guys for different things, but having Mitchell back really helps. Brock Bowers played 59 snaps out of the 62. He had to with all that situation going on with Darnell. And I hope Darnell can play. I think he's going to get close out there to where he's going. But he's calling me right now, telling me he's in pretty good shape. So I think it's amazing to me that I've had 2 calls a day, one from a doctor and one from Team Pest USA. So either the doctor wants to get you well or the insects want to come in your house. So,
You're
well, we
popular.
got any questions here? Are you going to do a commercial or what's the
Well,
deal?
Roddy, you had mentioned Coach of the Year, and that is kind of a product of expectations kind of thing. But this season in college football, where everything's different and changing and people moving around, and yeah, TCU completely used the portal to get that roster together. I get that. But it seems to me that there is a lot of value in experience, because you look at the teams that when you say Coach of the Year, we say Kirby Smart. There's about as much stability as you get there, and he's a lifer as a coach. Sonny Dykes, lifer as a coach. What Willie Fritz did at Tulane this season is remarkable. And that's a guy that's a lifer as a coach. And then you look at the two quarterbacks in this championship game. You have a coach's son in Duggan. You've got a guy in Stetson Bennett that's been in college football since, 2017?
1930s.
Yeah. So to me, there's a lot of value in experience. And I think that's going to prove to bear out as we kind of go through this roster management stage of the sport.
Yeah, both of the story on the front page of UGASports.com right now is from Sonny Dykes' press conference yesterday, and he mentioned the fact that Georgia's, to go back to 2 points where Coach said everybody's playing, you have all those experienced guys. He says, look, you can't shut down one guy. Every team you play, there's like one or two guys. Like, if we can shut this guy down, they'll have trouble. So if you can shut down Brock Bowers, then, that will give Georgia trouble. If you can stop Kenny McIntosh, that'll give you trouble. He said, look, they got a stable of three backs. You can't shut them all down. You can't stop all the wide receivers. So there's always another guy who will step up, and all those guys are insanely experienced. Kirby Smart, again, said, we can't trick this quarterback. He's seen so much. Both coaches have been around a long time. It's going to be a great chess match with guys that have seen it all before on both sides.
But realistically, and I'm not trying to play devil's advocate here, but if you ask any Georgia fan or you ask any TCU fan going into the season, we were highly inexperienced. We lost almost all of our defense.
Yep.
We lost these backs to the pros. We lost, our best receiver, Pickens. You just go it over and over. The offensive line, you lose three guys to the pros. So really, Broderick Jones and Van Pran, the only guys with any kind of experience coming back. McClendon played some, but he'd played a little, a lot more than maybe I gave him credit for last year. But realistically, here's the deal about experience. It's the best thing I've ever come up with. If you wanted experience, would you want a kamikaze pilot?
No.
Hey, you wouldn't want one. He had all these chances to kill himself, but he didn't do it. I mean, he got a lot of experience, but a kamikaze pilot that tried 50 times to kill himself, but he never would do it. He had a lot of experience, but when it got time to do it, he couldn't go down. But so, I mean, seriously, that's just a bad deal. But I think talent and coaching supersede experience way more than experience myself.
If you want a good experience, I want to mention our friends over at Prime Shrimp. Now, for those of you who do not know what this is, and I've had people hit me up and go, what is that shrimp company that you're talking about all the time? It's called Prime Shrimp. They're in New Orleans. They make fantastic shrimp. They actually produce the machinery for seafood processing, but they also have, as part of their business, they have a shrimp processing door-to-door arm of the business, if you will. So basically what they do is they take shrimp, they peel them, they devein them, they dehead them, they put them into bags with different sauces, they freeze them. Then you go to primeshrimp.com, you use promo code UGASports, you get 20% off your first order, and you pick all these different shrimps that they have, all these different types, all these different flavors. So they have the brand new one, the New Orleans barbecue shrimp. They have the garlic herb butter shrimp, the French Quarter Alfredo shrimp. That's a fan favorite. The signature seasoned shrimp, which is great because it's that Cajun seasoning. You'll absolutely love it. And they have just the unseasoned or the lemon crack. But the point being, you go and order these shrimp. They come to you with dry ice. They're frozen. It's a great insulated box. You take it out. You put it in your freezer. Then when you're ready, you boil some water. You drop the bag in. You flip it over once in about 4 minutes, you have fantastic, perfectly cooked shrimp, perfectly seasoned, that you do with whatever you like. You can put it on Alfredo, you can put it into tacos, whatever you like. Put it in grits, one of the best shrimp and grits you've ever had in your life. Hit up our friends at Prime Shrimp. Try them out. Okay. Also want to mention our friends over at myperfectfranchise.net. Okay. Myperfectfranchise.net. That is sorry. Can you add that, Dayne? My Perfect Franchise is basically and this is a concept that you may not be familiar with. Let's say you want to get out of the rat race. You want to get away from the grind of your 9 to 5. You sign the front of the checks and not the back of the checks. You want to diversify your income. You want set your own schedule, but you're not sure how to do it. Reach out to Andy Ludecky. Reach out to Brandon Beachy, the former Braves pitcher. Say, look, talk to me. They know 3,000 different franchises and what those what they're looking for, how much you need to have invest into it. They can walk you through it. It doesn't cost you anything. It's free. Reach out to myperfectfranchise.net. Call them, email them, just let them know that, hey, I'm kind of thinking about it. They have done this for tons of people in the Rivals Network. So our sites all across the network, they've helped them out. They've also done it for a lot of the folks at UGASports.com. A lot of our readers have brand new jobs where they are the owners of their business. So hit up My Perfect Franchise. Let them know that you want a new job. And if it doesn't work out, it doesn't cost you anything. You just say, that's great. But there's so many different areas that you will not have thought of. I didn't realize that the thing existed. I thought all franchises were only basically restaurants. So it shows what an idiot I am. But hit them up.
Let's go to questions from our friends at UGAsports.com. Two primary themes to the questions, so we'll start broadly with these. From UGA Alum 95 on Twitter, he said, what is going on with Georgia's secondary? Ohio State made the DBs look a little bit slow. Was it scheme? Was it Ryan Day's play calling? And this is kind of the question everyone's been asking, Coach. What can you do to limit what the secondary has been giving up?
Yeah, I think part of it was the talent that they were going against. I mean, certainly NFL caliber players, and they did a good job of game planning. They hit that over route on us several times where they landed the guy up the slot and went over all the way across the field and hit us between the hash and the boundary. We used to call it a V route. It's just reality right now. I mean, let's just call it like it is. I mean, these kids are playing hard. They're just not as good in the secondary playing the ball as what we've seen around here. And there's not a whole lot we can do here in a week except hopefully get some more pressure on the quarterback. Hopefully they throw some errant passes, and hopefully get a couple tip balls, things like that. None of that happened the other night. The guy was accurate. We knew he was going to be. We said going into the game, he's the most accurate passer we played since Joe Burrow. I said that. And he's going to go high, even maybe higher than what your best quarterback that you like, Will Levis, is going to do, Dayne. No, but you know what I mean.
I'll be tossing that voodoo on me. That was Paul Maharry. That was all about Will Levis.
I think all the Georgia fans need to go to the Socrates, know thyself. This is what we got. It's not going to change, but the composite of our 44 guys with our offense, with our special teams, with our coaching, all of that together, our strengths can overcome our weaknesses and hopefully be good enough to get the W.
The other questions were, what's the best way to attack a 3-3-5 defense? That's from Spray Dog 22. And then Smitty 65 has kind of an amendment to that and says it seems like Cincinnati ran some of that as well. If memory served, Georgia struggled running the ball in games that it's played against 3-3-5 defenses. So how do you find a way to get the running game going against it?
Well, we did against Cincinnati, but we kicked the dog manure out of Arkansas running it. I mean, that first half against them was just a slaughter. So, and we've had success against some other teams. So you got to be careful about typecasting. And I'm not talking about the question itself, but the best thing to do is run right at it. Use your snap count to affect their stunts where they can't just stem into stuff at the last second and it cause a lost yardage play. So go some on a quick count, go some on a longer count where they show what they're doing. By that, I mean, You got 3 guys up here, but you got 5 behind them that can come all these different ways. And it's hard to get that many guys. If they got 8 coming, you don't have enough blockers. If they got 6, you do, but you got to figure out where they are. So I think running straight ahead, north-south is good. Certainly RPOs are fantastic against those. Faking the run against a linebacker that's filling the gash and hitting right behind him. I think we'll hit several of those against these guys, more than we've run all year probably, because if you're not sure what they're going to do, RPO is the best thing, because if it is a run and it's there, you're going to take it. If it's not and they've got you overwhelmed, you can throw in behind them. So that's what you do against that. Plus play action. You saw Michigan, that quarterback had enough time back there to take a shower the other day. I mean, they were faking up. They were dropping 8 a lot and all, but that J.J. McCarthy just had, until the end of the game where they just lit him up a little bit. But they give us that much time, it's going to be ugly.
I'm going to channel my inner Jim Donnan here. You ready for this, Roddy?
Yeah.
If there was ever a time for Stetson Bennett to run the ball on the edge,
Last game of his
get
career.
him moving, this is it.
He looked good on the goal line with that sweep. Very good play by Monken, putting the guy in motion and letting Stetson run. He did have a bad play there at the end of the first drive where the end did close enough where he thought he could keep the ball, but they had a linebacker scraping off, and we ended up – and it's easy to say, well, if he'd have handed it off, he'd have got McIntosh would have scored. But, he didn't get the yardage in that game I thought he would running the ball. But, again, 62 snaps, and we called he had 28 attempts. Is that right? And we called 40 passes because, he had to move around a couple of times and he had some incomplete. So we didn't have that many runs in the game.
Big Fatty 94 just says, what's the biggest key to victory? Big Fatty 94.
Big Fatty. All right. Fatty, Cincinnati. Hey, that's pretty good. Hey, I like that. What's the key to the game?
What's the biggest key to victory?
In a big game, like when you're playing for all the marbles, is just playing within yourself. Don't try to do something. Just play your position and accentuate the team game. And I think, as I mentioned a little while ago, we got to use our ball control, our explosive plays, limit their explosive plays, and cover the punts. I think those are the biggest deals in this game.
Why is Georgia still negative in turnover ratio?
What's that?
So Georgia still, I think they're still negative in the turnover ratio. I would love to see that in this game.
We're never close enough to intercept the pass. I mean,
that's fair.
And we cause very few.
They did cause a fumble, but it rolled out of bounds.
Yeah, but we're just, it's just one of those years you just hadn't seen a lot of noteworthy turnover type plays, and we haven't turned it over that much either. I mean, that was a poor decision by Stetson but to play a game like that with all those high speed athletes and everything happening, and only have 1 turnover in the game, that's pretty impressive.
Better than the 2 pick sixes that Michigan has.
Michigan game. I mean, good Lord. I mean, I'm sure Jim Harbaugh will be looking back next year when he's in the NFL and thinking about that.
But that was my point. The Big Fatty says, what's the key? And I know it sounds like a cop-out to say turnovers, but I'm like, we mentioned earlier in the show the 2 pick sixes Dayne was talking about, and then that it looks like they've scored on a long touchdown pass, but they say the guy's 6 inches short. They run the next play, and it's a fumble. I mean, that's a huge swing. Yeah. So
they got a lot of big plays against them. I think we'll do it too. They just take too many. But the big key for Big Fatty is to get 2 hamburgers, a chili dog, and some fries, and a chocolate milkshake.
and a Diet Coke so you can watch it.
This question from Dog Fan, which I don't know how you got the handle DAWGFAN, just Dog Fan on the vent. You must have been around for a long time.
1997, more likely.
That's good.
Yeah, that's some Grapevine days kind of handle. Says on the replay watching from the sky cam, it was obvious to me that Ohio State's line was allowed to hold on every pass protection play. How do you call a game like that where the other team's offensive line is holding on every play, but the refs just aren't calling it?
You got to just adjust. You talk over there on the sideline. You see our offensive players over there with Stacy Searles, or you see the defensive players over there with Coach Schumann and Muschamp. I mean, position-wise, you're talking, and they're telling you, hey, like I heard one of our players say to the referee, one of the coaches told me, he told the umpire, said, "Hey, this guy's holding me," and the umpire said, "I don't care." I mean, he's being smart, but that happens sometime. But we got some poor officiating, those Pac-12 guys, and we're going to get ACC for this game. You just never know what you're going to get from them either. I mean, they're in the basketball season, so who knows what's going to happen over there. But that's what we got. You can just, in between series, you can say to the guy on your sideline, "Look, hey, they're holding us. Can you watch for that? And please, sir," instead of, "Hey, you rotten son of a bitch." You got to come.
I think what's good for the goose is good for the gander. They're going to rush three, and then you're not sure which of those, linebackers is coming. I want to see Amarius Mims and Tate Ratledge, nice big bear hugs.
We get very few penalties on our team. We really do. We do get some pass interference, so I mean, because we do. I mean, we interfere a lot.
Yeah. Well, that's what we have to do. Let's talk real quick about our friends over at Dead Soxy. If you did not get Dead Soxy socks in your stocking, or you did not get them under the tree this year, you did not get them for the holidays, well, screw the people that didn't do that for you. They're awful people, and they should have, and you got to have your lucky socks for this coming Monday. So get your new lucky socks from Dead Socks. You can see they have the great Georgia styles here. They're great looking socks. They're also incredibly comfortable, and you see they go up to your calf. They don't slide down. These striped ones here are like my favorites. I love that, the 3 stripes on the back. These I don't like. That reminds me of the 70s and 80s. That takes me back too far. But the ones with the dog prints and stuff like that, they're just really, really sharp. And right now, if you use promo code UGASports, you can go get 20% off any of the socks, plus the ones they have on sale. So if you see a set that you like and they're like on clearance or something like that, you can say, "Hey, I want to try let me get these and try them out." And I just go and get the ones that are on sale and save 20%. So hit up our friends at deadsoxy.com. Remember to use promo code UGAsports.com. Everyone that's tried them has told me how much they liked them. I've yet to hear a bad word about them. Speaking of never hearing a bad word, I want to mention our friends over at Academia Brewing Company. They do a great job with all their food, all their beer, the ambiance of their place, their restaurant. Again, when we talk about Academia Brewing Company, people say, "Oh, it's that beer place." Well, yes, it is that beer place, but it's also one of the best restaurants in a town that's full of good restaurants. They make fantastic food. It's a great place to watch a game, hang out with friends, have a corporate event, or sit in the beer garden when the weather gets nice, sit outside. The bartenders are incredibly friendly. The wait staff is on point, and they actually have chefs, real chefs. It's not just some guys throwing some stuff together, back in the kitchen. They actually know what they're doing. They do a great job, and they make fantastic beers. So showing that the Triple sandwich, they got the Dom is back. They're known for their flatbreads and for their fish. The best scallops I've ever had in my life were actually out at Academia Brewing Company. So try them when you get a chance. And right now they are hiring. They need some help out there. I saw some incredibly per hour rates up to like $18. So if you are a server, you are a cook, you are a bartender, check out our friends at Academia Brewing Company because they're hiring and they need some help out there.
Similar questions from Obi-Wan and Bush Dog. Do you think that we'll see more 11 versus 12 personnel if Darnell Washington cannot play?
Yeah, I do. I just think, particularly with the receivers coming back, I think it's just to your advantage to use your best players. But I think they're certainly capable. And the one good thing about 12 is it gives you a balanced look against a 3-3-5, so you're protecting both edges. If you're in 11 with only one tight end, the weak side guy can come off and they can stunt between the tackle and in and maybe catch you from the backside. So I'm probably going to change my answer a little bit. We might see 12 just because of their scheme more than because of personnel. I mean, I just think we might use a little 12 there. Maybe not near as much as we've used, but all of a sudden, if Washington is out there and he can play, it would be huge for us because we would play 12 like the Russians were in St. Louis.
Coach, wouldn't it make more sense? And again, show me where I know I'm wrong on this, but to basically spread them out, just spread out as wide as you can go. Make them declare with those inside linebackers what they're doing, or those 3 linebackers. Make it get everybody out there far wide. I don't say it's exactly like Tennessee, but I can see how spreading them out makes them a little easier to read.
Yeah, it is, but you got to realize that their front is the 3 guys, so the 2 outside guys can go out there, but they also can come off the edge from that position too. Okay. You've got 5 underneath players that can move around and do. So ostensibly you could run 3-5-3, and the 2 guys be wide, and then they flood 2 backers. So we're really good at picking.
I thought I was on to something.
No, it's a good plan. We're really good at picking up the different looks because we really work hard on it. But I can see us, one of the best things we do is line up an empty, which that means no backs, make them declare what they're in, and then all of a sudden shift our back to the backfield, and then they have to redeclare. So it's hard to make a call if you're shifting and then they're moving back and forth. So it'll be a chess match. With Kenny Mack, you're really good with him lining up wide. He caught a screen out there for a touchdown as a slot, and they thought we were probably going to shift him back. They left a backer out there on him, and it was ugly, him trying to cover him.
Now I'm just curious why they use the word declare on that. Like, I'm thinking old Southerner, I do declare.
Yeah, that's pretty good accent, but you got to make it. Hey, this is the way I used to say it: declare what you're in. Or
I'm just curious of the verb choice.
Tell them what you're in. Tell them what you're in.
Similar questions from Mac Daddy Dog and OU Herschel Walker. They're curious about how you slow down a quarterback in Max Duggan, coach, that you said has some Tim Tebow-like qualities. Here's the question from OU Herschel Walker. How often do you think that Georgia spies Duggan, and how do you determine when you spy a quarterback? Is that down and distance, or is it the formation, or do you just do it every play?
A little bit of down and distance, but also, formationally, they have a tendency, if they go empty, no backs, if you're in man coverage, he's probably going to check to the quarterback draw because nobody on the quarterback, so you've got to put somebody on him. But I think gang tackling is important, hitting him from behind, causing he's had a tendency, just like anybody, when you get hit from behind, you drop the ball. So, and I think I've read about so many coaches talking about it because of the difference between the last game of the year and then the semifinals, 3 to 4 weeks. Tackling is not as good. I think our tackling will be better because we played a game and we're playing a week later than it was in the last game. So we had a lot of times to get a guy for a even or no gain, and they about 3 or 4 yards because we didn't wrap him up. So gang tackling is important in a game like this.
And I kind of want to end the show here as we begin to wrap it. We need to acknowledge just how historic this is, where Georgia is at this point. And I think a lot of people do it, but as Georgia prepares to play for yet another national championship, what's that, 3 in the last 6 years? Like, that's remarkable. Yeah, there are a lot of really, really good football teams that don't come close to that.
Yeah, it really is good. I think too, just because you're a favorite like we are, 13.5. You go back to 2002. I think Miami was a prohibitive favorite and got beat. It can happen. You game itself though. I had some stats here that I was going to read and chance to repeat, but nobody's repeated in a long time since I guess Kirby was at Alabama. So I know
2011, 2012.
I know Oklahoma, both years that we had a chance to repeat, we were better the year we were than the year before, and we lost because fumbled the damn punt, 2 punts, and then Marshall on the repeat we had a punt blocked and got behind. So, a lot of these things, the little things add up. But it's an incredible run, and people need to enjoy it. And it's kind of a pennies from heaven run this year. I mean, nobody expected it except maybe Kirby. I mean, he planned it hard. He said, hey, we're going to be the hunter. And we've hunted all year, and we really haven't played a team. The only team we played this year that was less than a touchdown favorite against us, we were less than a touchdown favorite with Tennessee and this team last week. So pretty remarkable to be double-digit favorite in every game.
I mean, in my life, there's only been 3 repeat champions. It's Alabama with A.J. McCarron in 11 and 12. It was USC with Matt Leinart and Reggie Bush, and then it was Nebraska in the 90s with Tommy Frazier. And so this is rarefied air. And I tweeted something similar about that Stetson Bennett can be the starting quarterback on 2 national championship teams, joining that class of Tommy Frazier and A.J. McCarron and Matt Leinart. And McCarron tweeted back out and said that he was hoping Stetson would. He's rooting hard for him. So I thought that was nice.
Yeah, McCarron's a classy guy, really classy guy. I mean, I remember speaking at the Mobile Touchdown Club when he was a junior, and he was asking me about these different places. I said, why are you asking me that? I know you're going to Alabama. I mean, I wasn't even coaching anymore, but I knew he was going to go to Alabama.
That's a riot. I also think back to the fact that Stetson Bennett was part of that 2017 team that played for a title as well. So if he's played for 3 and wins 2, it'd be the same with Kirby Smart. And my take on this is I've written numerous times, enjoy this golden age of Georgia football. It's fantastic. You hope it continues to run, but don't take it for granted. Don't snipe when things don't go your way. And if Kirby wins, the Georgia wins on Monday, they'll won back-to-back. That's when you can call it a dynasty. And I don't know what's going to happen next year. There's going to be a lot of guys going to the NFL, a lot of change. The team we see in spring is going to look very different. But I do like next year's schedule, So I'm thinking.
I disagree with you a little bit, though, because I think you have to put yourself in position, and some weird things can happen, just like Ohio State and Georgia. Like, that could have gone either team's way. I think Georgia already is a dynasty for where the program is, how other people view them, the way that Tennessee game happens where Tennessee's on fire and then Georgia just completely snuffs it out. I think this is a dynasty already, and I don't think the result of the next game matters to determine that.
It does.
Yeah, the title game history of rare double-digit favorites winning 0-2. Miami -12 versus Ohio State in 2002, and FSU -11-5 versus Oklahoma in 2000.
Well, there's a great downer.
And TCU has 18 first-year transfer players on their team.
Wow,
that's a lot of them. But anyhow,
Georgia has 0.
I just what a year we've had. I've enjoyed watching our team develop and handling adversity and making things happen. And it just seems like it's in the cards. I mean, I just think they're going to keep on trucking.
Yep. All right, folks, that's all the time we have for this week's show. We will be back. I don't think we'll be able to do Tuesday next week because we'll be driving back from.
You're driving?
Yeah. From
Los Angeles?
Yes, from LA to Vegas, smart ass. So don't cut me off. We're going from LA to Vegas. We'll be riding back to catch our flight back home. So I think if we're going to do the show, it'll probably have to be Wednesday or maybe Tuesday night from the airport. But hopefully next week we'll be able to talk about Georgia winning back-to-back, and Dayne and I can argue on whether or not it's a dynasty. Although if they win both, then there won't be any question whatsoever. So anyway, folks, shout out to all of our sponsors, of course, Prime Shrimp, Your Pie, Dead Soxy, My Perfect Franchise, Academia Brewing Company, and Athens Ford. We appreciate them sponsoring us all last year, and we look forward to another great year. We appreciate all of you who shared this when we asked you at the beginning, and all of you who have been patrons of our sponsors. It means a lot to us, and it makes them very happy, and we appreciate them, all the work they've done for us this year. It's been a great football season, and hopefully Georgia goes out on top Monday night, and we will see you in the following days to talk about it. So take care. We'll see